What's going on, family? Welcome to your Monday night live stream. I'm your host, Sir Ashley, and we try to do this every single Monday where we talk about the real estate market, we talk about the Charlotte area, and we answer any questions that you all may have. So feel free, drop any questions in the chat, put a Q in front of in front of it so I know that it's a question and not just you talking to other people in the chat. And also, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, share this with somebody that may be thinking about moving to the area or just interested in real estate. But also, let me know where you're watching from. I know we've been getting a lot of people from up north watching, and even a lot of people in the Carolinas, which I love to see that, just because that's where we're serving. That's where our expertise is mainly at. Although we are touching on today some national topics. I do have some guests with me today that a lot of you have seen before. One of them, mics were going in and out last time. Uh, she's since corrected that issue and that problem, but I appreciate y'all. Those of you who don't know me, I am Sir Ashley. I've been in real estate for over a decade as an attorney, as an investor, and a licensed agent. And I'm blessed and fortunate enough to have a team of wonderful people around me to keep me, one, grounded, keep me humble, and keep me accountable. And being able to share this data with you because a lot of stuff comes across my desk that I would not be able to see without their help and their just tenacity in helping people throughout the state, both North and South Carolina. Without further ado, let me first introduce Rania. How you doing?
Listen, I am wonderful, wonderful. How are you, Sir Ashley?
I'm doing well. It was Mondaying. It was a busy day.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It
It
was
was
a,
the
it was a
Mondays
busy
of
day.
Mondaying.
Yeah, but it was a blessing. It was a blessing.
Yes.
Um, Introduce yourself to everyone, and how can they get in contact with you?
Oh goodness. So Raniel Price. Listen, I am hailing from outside of Chicago and migrated to North Carolina, and prior to that lived in Texas. And listen, I am the relocation specialist to help people navigate the joy of transitioning to North Carolina. You can reach me on Instagram at sold by Raniel NC. You can reach me via email at
Now, with that
RMP.
said, I know how to spell
Go.
your name. I know how to
You
spell
are
your name.
absolutely right.
But Ronielle, how do people like? Can
Yes,
you please spell that
I
for us?
can. So sold by R O
Mhm.
N I E L L E N C.
Perfect. I like it. I'm
Yes.
about to introduce my big sister, my former neighbor. How you doing, sister?
Good, good, good. Enjoying the
Thank you.
Monday.
One, thank you for jumping on with us tonight. I know you have a lot going on,
Mm.
family stuff and all that. Uh, as far as nothing bad, audience. She's been delaying packing for a trip, and I'm just helping her contribute to delaying packing for a trip by jumping on this live stream. So I definitely appreciate you tuning in. Thank you.
He telling all our business,
I
I
Shantae.
mean,
love it.
it's only the business that can be told, right? Nothing
Right.
nothing off limits. Nothing off limits. But yeah,
Wait.
how can oh no, things are off limits. I'm saying I'm not
Oh,
sharing things that are off limits.
okay.
How can you introduce yourself and how can people get in contact with you?
Okay. I'm Shantae Cloud. I am a North Carolina native. I've been in real estate for about 6 years now. To get in contact with me, you can reach me. My handle is at Realtor Shantae Cloud. And Shantae is SHAUNTAY. And then cloud like in the sky.
Perfect. And I'm not sure if you can on your ends. If you can, do you have access to the chat or the comment section?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to drop your links and stuff in there for everyone so they can get in contact with you and be able to follow you
Okay.
uh, on there. And before we dive in further, I want to touch on what we're talking about today mainly. Now, we can deviate if you all have any questions or you want to talk about something more pressing. But as we go into April, April is Fair Housing Month in our country. And it is one of those things that I am very passionate about. I want to talk about fair housing and the Fair Housing Act from 1968 and how it is still applicable and the things
Mhm.
and challenges that we're facing here in 2025, right?
Mhm.
Um, Now, Fair Housing Act of 1968 was implemented and passed to protect against discrimination to protect race, color, national origin, religion, and sex, familial status, meaning having kids over 18, and disability. So a lot of the overlooked groups or groups that are discriminated against. This Fair Housing Act is supposed to protect them and allow them to have the right to rent, buy, finance a home without being discriminated against. And I know I can attest to, I have several clients in the past that have faced discrimination that fall in these categories. And here we are in what it happened that I'm the last one that was very pertinent happened in what 2016 that I'm
Mhm.
very aware of intimately 2016. So this is something that we're dealing with on a day to day. It may not get as much attention or highlighted in the news, but something that we have to be aware of. And if we aren't diligent and aware of it, with a lot of things that are happening, these rights that we take for granted easily could be taken away or
Mhm.
overlooked, right? Or just not really paid attention to, and these laws may not be adhered to. Do you I was going to say, how do you feel about the Fair Housing Act? I'm sure you all approve of the Fair Housing Act, right?
I think it's still a
Uh,
necessary thing. Yeah.
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
And February, Black History Month, in January, Martin Luther King Day. The Fair Housing Act was passed just 1 week after Dr. Martin Luther King's assassination in 1968. And one
Mhm.
of his main pushes was economic fairness and housing. And he didn't get to see the Fair Housing Act pass, but through his efforts, we're able to benefit from that. And just to show how passionate I am, and I know you all are as well, you're part of NARAB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and their core mission is democracy in housing.
Mhm.
Because for the longest time, people that look like myself and you all could not buy a home, would not be given a loan. And then when we could buy a home or be given a loan, it was in pockets of the community of the city to where nobody else wanted to live in those areas, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, and we see the remnants of that to this day, right? We see that very pertinent. I'm thinking of the Charlotte area, but I'm also thinking of where I'm from in Rochester, New York. Um, those areas where minorities could live, and it's funny how those areas nowadays are prime real estate, going for
Mhm.
top dollar, right? Going for top dollar,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And but it's a trade off. What we're also seeing is a push to where people want to keep their suburbs safe,
Mhm.
and that's cold, right? But they want to keep the suburbs safe. So it's like,
Mhm.
what without the Fair Housing Act, where are people supposed to go? Where can they go if you're getting pushback from being in those areas that you were relegated to? You're getting priced out of
Mhm.
that, and then when you try to move, you get the whole let's keep our suburbs safe, and they don't want any outsiders, right? So it's just one of those. It's a very
Catch 22.
peculiar time
Mhm.
that we're dealing in right now.
Well, I mean, it's definitely happening. One example I would see is in New Orleans when we go
Hmm.
years ago when we went to visit. I mean, you saw a lot of us in certain areas, and now when we go back, it's like very much different.
Yeah.
and the house prices are different. And I mean, I love the fact that they're building different, sandwich shops and different things like that in those particular areas, but you're also
Yeah.
pricing the people out that could afford it.
No, most definitely.
Mhm.
The chat is very, very quiet. I need some interaction. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know who's tuning in, and let me know if you believe that the Fair Housing Act of 1968 is still pertinent and relevant today. Because I'm about to give you some examples of why it is. But let me know what you all think in the chat.
It's crazy to think not too long ago, women stayed in
Mm.
relationships because they couldn't even get in
Mhm.
houses without their
Yeah,
spouse.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No
and
checking account,
what's none of
Yeah.
that.
no credit
Mhm.
card.
None.
Yeah. And you think about that today because, of course, today
Yeah,
is the last day of Women's History Month.
It is.
that's
Mhm.
correct. Yeah, that is
Mhm.
correct.
Yeah.
Um, I was about to say something. I forgot. It skipped my mind. I just put Raniel's information in the chat. Dante, feel free to input your information in the chat or send it in the private chat, and I'll put it into the
I
main
tried to
chat.
send it in private, it wouldn't let me.
They won't let you?
Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
say it wouldn't let me put it in the public one. So thank you for
Yeah.
putting
Okay.
that there.
No, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Mhm.
So housing is tied to everything. We overlook it, but it really is an essential part of being in not just America, but in the world. And it's tied to schools, it's tied
Mhm.
to job access, it's tied to wealth building and health outcomes.
Okay.
One thing that actually you'll be able to appreciate this because it hit close to home, Shante, is when we lived in the same neighborhood
Mhm.
in South Charlotte.
Mhm.
I was selling my house and I got an offer for 50,000 above asking,
Mm.
right? And
Mhm.
it was a different time,
It
right?
really
It wasn't
was.
right now. It was a different time. 50,000 above asking, and the appraisal. And there's several houses in that community. This is a massive community, right? Several houses in that
Mhm.
community were for sale, and I purposefully underpriced our home simply
Mhm.
because I wanted to sell quickly because we were going into another home, so I needed it sold and under contract immediately. But said all that to say, when we're under contract and we're getting the appraisal came back $60,000 short,
Mm. You like that?
and and I didn't hide the fact that I'm a black man and there's black people living in the house, right? Um, but I was intimately familiar with everything that was taking place in the community. And there was another home, smaller, didn't have a basement. My house had a basement, didn't have a basement, one less bedroom, one less full bathroom. And it was about 1,100 square feet smaller.
Mm.
And it did appraise for what my
Wow.
house would have appraised for. Now, granted, I will say they had better flooring throughout. That's
Mhm.
what I'll give them. That's the me being transparent.
Well,
Better
that's
flooring
not
throughout.
60,000.
It's not 60,000, right? So we had a choice to make, and we see discrimination in fair housing being played out in appraisal gaps. Typically, this is documented. It's not. It happened to me, but it's documented throughout the country uh,
Mhm.
that is happening today still. That homes that are owned or being sold by minorities, that
Mhm.
is evident that a minority lives there,
Mhm.
tend to get a lesser appraisal value.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about $5,000, $10,000 less. I'm not gonna say I was fortunate; mine was only 60,000. But there's some houses in New York and California where I've read
Mhm.
articles where you have $200,000, $300,000 appraisal gaps simply because it's not based on the data. It has to be based on who is living in that and owns that
Mhm.
home.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
something that we're experiencing. But to talk about my own personal experience is, again, I told you I was in a rush. Like we were under contract and did all that. And yes, we could have fought it. I'm letting you know where I messed up. We could have fought it. We did not fight it because we didn't want to miss out on the home we were moving to. And we ended up working it out with the buyer to where we didn't get what I believe we should have gotten, because the appraisal should have come back where it needed to come back. But it's one of those things that we're seeing that it costs me and my family tens of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Have you all seen any of that or witnessed it?
So not me personally, but of course I do remember reading an article where a young lady and her family, they essentially they had pictures up on the wall when they did the appraisal, and it came back I think it was like 120,000 lower. And then when they did a second appraisal and it was void of any remnants of whom lived in the home, it came back significantly higher.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up suing that appraiser and
the company
won. Yeah, the company. Yes.
No, it happens. It happens more regularly than we would like to admit. And I'm going to get the figures wrong, be off by a couple percentage points, but the amount of minority appraisers in our country is scarce.
Yeah.
I know one, I was able to, I know the oldest Black appraiser in South Carolina, Morris Senior. He's in Columbia. He is absolutely amazing. He actually comes and he came and spoke at one of my events last year in 2024. And just to hear his journey, right, and how he got to where he is today, but seeing the struggle that he had to go through to be an appraiser. Well, one, to be an appraiser and a realtor, and being a minority during that time, we as professionals take it for granted, right? Take it for granted to where we can just take the course, pass the test, and here we are able to serve the community. And we serve, I like to be perfectly clear, I serve everyone. My client base is very diverse, right? But as we are in fair housing, well, about to be in Fair Housing Month, we need to address things in society that is prevalent. It may be a little uncomfortable. I know we don't have the title probably scare people off. We don't have quite the viewership that we typically have. It's a little uncomfortable to have these conversations, but these are conversations that I believe we need to have, because so long as we just have these comfortable, easy conversations, change is not going to occur. Minds we need to have a healthy intellectual dialogue, because we need to see that we're not that far apart. We're more alike than we are different, but because we don't converse and have these difficult, quote unquote, difficult conversations, we like to put it as the other, right? So
that doesn't impact me.
It doesn't impact me, right? But here I am, I'm your neighbor, right?
Yeah.
I'm your neighbor.
Until in 2025, it does.
And like I'm your neighbor, and if my home is getting appraised for less than it should be, that's impacting the value of your home.
Absolutely.
So you may not think it impacts you right now, but it definitely impacts you, because you may be trying to refinance. You may be trying to get some of that equity out of your home that you have. And if my appraisal comes back short, that messes you up.
I think I do remember your house selling, because we were looking to do a HELOC at that time to do some additional things. Yeah, I do remember now.
Yeah. I was hurt. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, what do you mean? And again, we just didn't have enough time to, again, how things play out, to fight it and go over it and contest it. Because it definitely should have appraised for more than that other home that sold that was less square footage, one bedroom less, didn't have a basement. Didn't have a basement, but our basement was finished. It had everything that one could ask for. I missed that.
And
home,
I think y'all had a more open yard feel.
Yes. Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That basement, I love that basement.
It was nice.
I miss it. I miss it. Where are we at now? Steering. Steering plays a huge part as well. Uh,
Mhm.
Roniel, Shantae, what is
Uh-huh.
steering?
It is guiding a person away from like a certain community or certain
Mhm.
area because you don't fit into that model.
Mhm.
Most definitely. And I mean, we don't want to admit it, but I see it happening all the time in real
Mhm.
estate,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
To this day, to where the realtor may not even be comfortable they might not be comfortable moving or going to that area or that side of town, wherever it may be, that community. So they just don't show those homes, even though those
Mhm.
Mhm.
homes are probably perfect for their
Yeah.
client,
Yeah.
budget, everything, right?
Mhm.
But they're like, no, we need to go. You'll be better off in their mind. You'll be better off here, not
Yeah.
because of schools or anything like that, just because of their demographic, right?
Right.
I
Right.
think the other thing too, if we're honest,
Hmm.
and I don't think it's intentional. So I'll give you an example of Walmart versus Target.
Yeah.
You're not intentionally trying to sway someone to go one way or another, but as your preference.
Yeah.
And I think as realtors, we have to get out of our mindset of this isn't your home. This isn't
Mhm.
your children's school. And while you still want to advise your clients, you have to take yourself like out of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's hard to do.
And if we're being honest and just having a candid conversation, we all have our own biases
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely.
about
No
various
matter what
things,
color
right?
you are. Yeah.
We have our own biases. So, like, but it's one of those things to where you have to be introspective and realize that about yourself. And again, like you said, take yourself out of it and realize what's best for our client and let them be fully informed and make that decision,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
That goes back to whenever people ask, is the neighborhood safe? We're not allowed to answer on that. We have
Hmm.
to skate around it,
Yeah.
even though we have opinions on it.
Yep. Well, I just got that question about a particular area.
Mhm.
I heard that this area, is racist.
You did, yes, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
how did you answer that?
So with the help of two very, very knowledgeable realtors, Shanti being one of them, I was able to more so tell them to, hey, go look at the area. The thoughts or preferences of one person shouldn't dictate, what you
Right.
end up experiencing. Go visit some of the sandwich shops. Go check out different neighborhoods. Get your own perspective on it.
Yeah, so everything's
Yeah.
not racism. It goes back to
Mm,
we have our biases. So
yes,
they might have
Yeah.
had an experience that you're not going to have.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go back to that and let's just bring it home full circle. Where I live, I didn't want to, I told you I miss that house, right?
Mhm.
I decided to move, 10, 15 minutes. It's really like 4 miles, but 10 to 15 minutes south.
Mhm.
And I live in South Carolina now, right on the border. But I was hesitant to move to South Carolina
Mhm.
because it just sounds like South Carolina,
Hmm.
right? Um, but not in, but not until being in South Carolina, going to the shops and walking
Mhm.
around and going to the schools, right? And seeing
Mhm.
the teachers and really familiarizing myself with the community that I was like, is it as diverse as Still Creek? No, no parts of Charlotte is as diverse as Still Creek, right? Just
Hmm.
it's like
Mhm.
that's a
Mhm.
unicorn in and of itself,
It really is.
economically and culturally. No, nothing is as diverse as Still Creek. But
Mhm.
being in Fort Mill Antigua K, like I felt welcomed, and I didn't
Mhm.
think I would feel that way. Honestly, like just hearing different things, and like, granted, it was a 10-minute drive from where I lived before, but I
Mhm.
had no reason to go to Fort Mill other than to show a home or different things like that prior. So you would hear
Mhm.
different things. So you'll have these preconceived notions, but then once I'm part of the community and I go into the deli shop or go into wherever it may be, they know me more. Well, maybe because stand out, right? But they know me more. They're over here saying, "Hey, sir, how you doing?" And just very
Mhm.
cordial
Mhm.
and very welcoming, right?
Mhm.
Where I didn't, yeah, I honestly would not have expected that if I would have listened to what people were saying
Other
about
people's
the area.
views. Mhm.
And sometimes you get out of something what you put in.
That
If you
part.
go into it, you know, like,
Yeah.
hey, I want to go meet X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
or get to know this
Hmm.
business or that business or this community or that community. You get out of it what you put in, quite frankly.
And I
Mhm.
will say, some of my clients, one, I'm forever grateful for all of you. They reach out and say, "Hey, we chose you because of your expertise and knowledge, and because you have these various experiences,
Hmm.
because you're a black man,
Mhm.
right?"
Mhm.
And they could be, being totally honest, Indian, white, Hispanic. They're like, "I want to know, like, we could go anywhere, right? But we want to go to
Right.
you because you have these experiences and you have to navigate these environments. And we want
Mhm.
to, we really rely on your expertise and
Hmm.
what you have
Mhm.
to say." So, one, appreciate you all. But two, we are going to keep it real. But there are some guidelines when we seem like we are skirting around answers. It's
Mhm.
because we're not able to legally be able to dive into it. If I point you to a census or point you to a resource, it really is because not because I don't know what it says, but
Hmm.
you have to do the research yourself.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Now we do have a question from,
Yeah.
speaking of clients, I need to reach out to Chris. Vivian says, "Hey, hey sir, Chris and Vivian from Jersey City. Will sellers not want to sell to us because of our color? Do you run into that issue? Have you all experienced that?"
I personally have not experienced that. The sellers
Hmm.
in this area, they're looking at that dollar. That's the only color
Hmm.
they're concerned about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So funny story, not because of the color of their this person's skin, but I had a client who was moving 20 minutes from her previous home, and
Mhm.
that homeowner or that seller wanted to know why they wanted to move to this 20 minutes away because they had their home since 1974 and they wanted to know if this person was going to love on their home the way that they had. So
Yeah.
they were more concerned
Mhm.
with that versus the color
And I
of
agree
their skin.
because our house that we live in now is a resale, and one of the reasons we were picked was I had a relationship with the realtor, and
Hmm.
I was just talking about how much my family would love the house.
Yes,
Talking about Fair Housing Act.
absolutely. But that's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Now, I take two things away from that. Well, one
Mhm.
main one is, as those as you all are watching, they're thinking about moving to or within the area, you want to deal with a realtor that has been doing it. Now, I'm not going to say, like, just because you've been doing it for 10, 15 years, you're more
Yeah.
experienced or more knowledgeable than somebody who's been doing it for a year, but you want to be, because a lot of these, and I say that because a lot of the realtors that have their license for 10, 15 years, they might have only sold two houses during that time, right? And they
Mhm.
might have both been their own because they can save money doing so, right?
Right.
But you want somebody, a real estate agent, realtor, realtist, that is active in the community, that has colleagues in the community, because that opens doors that,
Mhm.
think about yourself at work. You Two coworkers could ask you the same thing, but
Mhm.
that one that you see all the time that you like, you're more apt
Mhm.
to do it for that person than the one that you see occasionally, right?
Hmm.
Or
Right.
just says they work there, right?
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that you're picking someone that is active in the community and in the real estate community. And only way to really know that is to ask questions and to question your realtor or who you're choosing or thinking about having as a realtor. Um, because the barrier of entry to be a realtor is very low compared to other professions. But to answer the question that has been asked from Vivian and Chris is I haven't represented a buyer where the seller would not sell, like granted, they would not sell to us. At least it hasn't been communicated to me. Wouldn't sell to us because of the race. I've listed a home where I had to admonish my seller to where they were like, we don't want these people moving to the area or buying this house. And I had to make it perfectly clear to them that that's not how it works. Like if they put in an offer and it's fair, it's reasonable, it's like, like we can't pick and choose who we're going to accept offers from based on religion, color, any of those things for fair housing, right? So I have had that conversation, and it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It's necessary. Another thing, how does the Raleigh housing market compare to Charlotte in the year 2025? Very good question. It is, so this is where words matter to me. Do we mean Raleigh proper or the greater Triangle area? And do we mean Charlotte proper or the greater Charlotte area? And I'll wait till you answer that, and then we can get into it. Great point. I believe someone of your kind will be much more open to you than a non-Black realtor. They're all about making sales as against safety and well-being of the client. Now, I appreciate the comment, and I can't speak in generalities, but because I do know we have every race on our team, and I can personally say and attest that sometimes when you're not part of one race, they go above and beyond to show that they're not racist or not discriminatory. So you, at times, again, I'd like to be fair and honest. At times, they may not treat you better, but go the extra mile just to make it clear that they now, would they have all the context and perspectives of somebody that has experienced it? Maybe not, but they are aware of that, so that's why they may go the extra mile. Right? What's going on, Barbara? How you doing? Barbara, I've been missing you the past couple weeks. I've been getting people commenting like afterwards, like, "Where's Barbara been?" And so I've been missing you. Yeah, I've been missing you. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely appreciate you. Another thing that we just slide under the rug because they end up settling and paying out money is we are in Charlotte, the retail banking capital of the world, right? And we have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and several other banks that consistently gets in trouble for their loan practices.
No.
When it comes to lending money to minorities and people that fall into the protected class of the Fair Housing Act in 1968, right?
And it's crazy. It's still prevalent. Like
it's still prevalent. Like there's still
it's mind blowing
to this day. We have Wells Fargo's paying money. Bank of America is still paying money. I think it was, I don't want to say the name and be wrong, but there was a couple other banks that are still paying settlement fees because of loan practices. And when I mean loan denials, I'm not talking about discrepancies. I'm talking about me, a Black man, applying for a loan, and a white counterpart applying for a loan, same credit score, same like profiles damn near identical, with
Mhm.
the exception of I'm a
Mhm.
black man and I have a white counterpart. They deny mine, but approve theirs, right? I'm not
Mhm.
asking for favoritism or preferential treatment. I'm just saying if we have apples to apples, but you deny mine and
Mhm.
accept theirs. And that's happening, I'm willing to say, still happening to this day. But
Mhm.
it's not a stretch because they've settled. It happened as late as a year ago
Right.
for these
Right.
banks,
And if they weren't denying it, they were charging them higher interest rates for the
most definitely.
same profile.
Yep.
That's
And
it's just really baffling to me
That
that
was
that's still happening.
2024. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
and another reason why this impacts or just it's not just for home buying. I want to make it clear. It
Mhm.
also impacts people that want to rent as well. People may think, oh, this has to do with, fair housing, has to do with buying. And well, I'm not in the market to buy. I don't plan on buying, whatever. No, this definitely impacts rentals as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
To where I know I have instances where, um, sad to say, had clients of multiple races, Caucasian and a Latino, applying for it was I don't want to say where, applying for a townhouse, applying for a townhouse for a
Right.
rental. And typically, I don't work with rentals. If I'm being totally transparent, I really don't work with rentals. But it was a short term thing because both of them needed a place to stay for their home to be finished, right?
Mhm.
And I saw what the rate was. That's why I was so attracted. That's why they both applied, the rental rate.
Mhm.
Well, when my Latinos applied, they're like, yeah, well, now the rate is X amount of dollars higher than
Mhm.
what the marketed rate was being sold for or being
Mhm.
rented for. And that's just one instance that I've experienced. I'm sure if I experienced it and I don't work with rentals frequently, I
Mhm.
am confident that that happens not across the board, but it happens frequently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, because
You know.
it's not always loud. Like it's a lot
Mhm.
of times it's the sneaky stuff. Like you just said the rent. It's also
Mhm.
okay. You know what? Oh, this unit just sold,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it was just there when you
Right.
told me to come by at 2:30.
Mhm.
I was I was talking to an agent earlier today. It is for commercial space in Gastonia.
Okay.
So not residential, commercial space, but
Mhm.
the want to be tenants are black. Um, and they've been looking at spaces in this one building for about a month. And they're like, okay, we're willing to sign, we're ready to sign, we're ready to sign. But we kept getting pushback. I say we because they're one of the lifestyle agents, so I'm putting myself in there. We've been kept getting pushback because, like, well, we're waiting for um, Josh is his name, waiting for Josh to come back and sign something or make approve it, right?
Mhm.
Well, find out today that even though clients were ready to sign, not this Friday, but 2 Fridays ago, ready to sign the lease, but just waiting on Josh, find out that the place has since been rented
Hmm.
to somebody else, and just so happened that every space in that it was 4 or 5 spaces in that facility is now rented. And
Mm.
the excuse they gave was, well, we were in communication with somebody else. Well, technically, they were in communication with us as well. They didn't
Wow.
use that
Mhm.
excuse to not sign those people.
Mhm.
And it just seemed a little like, you don't want to default to race or anything like that, but it just seems a little sketchy, a little off-putting.
Off-putting.
And
Mhm.
you've been waiting for a week and a half to get approval to get this commercial space and you've already started, and they had a handshake agreement, right? You just needed nothing's
Yeah, that's
permanent in
common
real
in
estate
commercial. Yeah.
until it's signed, right? Had a handshake
Mhm.
agreement, everything was good, just waiting on one person, but the numbers worked, the numbers checked out, and now all of a sudden everything's gone, right?
Mm.
So that was actually just earlier today. Are we getting wow, I like her shirt lifestyle.
Thank you.
I like it. Barbara, email me. I have several t-shirts. Hold on, I'm about to put my email in the chat. I will email.
Let
I
me
will
email
me.
you again, sir.
Listen, right.
Get another shirt.
Yeah, let me email so I can get a couple more.
Thank you, Barbara.
Right.
Yeah, email me. Send me your address. I'll ship it out. Actually, I was in Miami this past weekend, and I was out, and I had this hat on, and this one gentleman came up to me and was like, "Hey, what kind of hat is that? I've never seen that one." And I told him what it was, and he was like, "Can I have that one?" And I'm like, "No, you can't have this one. You can't have it." Granted, there was drinks involved, right? You're not just gonna ask somebody for a hat off their head. Right? You can't have this one. But I did give him my number, and I'll be shipping. He's probably not watching, but I'll be shipping you your hat on Wednesday once I get free. So yeah. So anybody that wants some lifestyle gear that wants to rep, let me know. Let me know. I say gear. I only have t-shirts and hats, so that's all we got here.
We you know.
I'm playing.
People that work
really, but I'm playing.
Yeah.
Look laughing, but very serious.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But
now,
also going back to the subject, like a lot of times on the rentals, they're just collecting those application fees and have no plans of renting it out to you.
No.
Because you have to fill out the application and pay those fees before you even get considered.
Yeah.
And another thing what we're seeing is landlords refusing to accept Section 8 vouchers. Right? Even though they're mandated to at least consider it and do everything like they're just like, no. And that was something that was prevalent last year in the real estate industry where I don't know if you all got the email or text like, hey, if you get an email asking about if this landlord will accept Section 8, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then you just vet the applicant based on a standard process. Right. Here we go. Which institution or authorizations regulate the disparities in approvals based on race? Is that your answer,
dropped it
Rania?
in there. Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Perfect. Talk to
I mean, there's also local agents, local housing.
Now, I see the answer, but the people that are just driving and can't really look at the screen, what institution or authority regulates the disparities in approvals based on race, Rania?
So it's HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Now, what's happening? This is something we didn't prep for, but what's happening with HUD right now?
It's being brought down to its knees.
We just did a class on this recently on general update about how certain things within the website is being removed behind the scenes because of administration.
Yeah.
And they're telling us to screenshot it and print it.
Exactly. So HUD, Department of Housing and Urban Development, oversees it, but then typically in most metropolitan areas, you have a local agency, local HUD. I don't know where Charlotte is right now. I know when I practiced law, it was over by Remount in South Tryon. It was right back there because my law office wasn't too far from there, the housing authority and everything. But I'm not sure if it's moved since then. But typically in most metropolitan areas, you have a local division as well. But with that said, the administration right now, and I'm not here to talk about politics, but the administration right now is gutting a lot of these agencies that is there to protect the general public. And when I say the general public, I'm not here to say protect minorities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because vulnerable
Everybody.
people are protected under fair housing, right? It's not just black or brown people. We're talking about based on your national origin, your religion, your sex. Talk about women, right? If you're not married, if you're not um, don't have
A
a spouse.
wheelchair.
Talk about disabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Disabilities, yeah.
so. Again, there's not. I don't want this to be. We're talking about it as if it pertains solely to race, but it's not, right? It protects
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of class of people that we just need to be aware of. And race is the front and center one. It's the one that gets, it's very obvious,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm over here, I'm thinking there was an apartment complex not too far from here that was getting in trouble because they didn't have any units for disabled people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's a lot of people in our community that we overlook simply because it doesn't pertain to us. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, do you suggest that your black sellers remove their black art from their homes? I know this is a tricky question, so I understand if you don't answer. I don't have a problem answering this question.
Yeah, me either.
I had it was $1 million plus property on the market, and yeah, $1 million plus property on the market. It's under contract now. And one of the things we discussed was we need to put on some neutral artwork on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We need to put some neutral artwork on the wall. And again, I experienced it because I didn't change what the decor was in my house, right? And just so happened, it didn't impact the offer, but it impacted the appraisal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Appraisal. We want our job, whether you may think it's atrocious or wrong that we have to go through this, but it's our job to put you, our client, buyer and sellers, in the best position possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if doing so means advising you to take down this artwork, let's go to Michael's Home Goods, home store, wherever it may be, and get you just some neutral art to make sure you get top dollar
Mm-hmm.
and or a favorable appraisal.
Mm-hmm.
I say we need to do that. Now, you all may have differing opinions, but that's where I stand. What say you,
I
Shantae?
always tell clients that you want your house to be as neutral as possible, regardless, because they've got to envision themselves living in that house. And if they see all your family pictures and things, that's your house, not their house. So you want them to have that vision of this is what they're going to move into and make their own.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. Rania?
No, I would +1 to what both of you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very good question. Now, you don't have to answer this, Vivian. Did you remove your art? Because I know I haven't been to your home. Their home is in New Jersey. If it was here, I'm part of your family, Vivian. You may not know that yet, but you and Chris should know I'm part of your family. I haven't been in your house in New Jersey. Do you still have all of your art on the walls right now? 'Cause I know you're selling your house right now.
Very good question.
Where else are we at? Sorry, I'm going through, make sure we touch on what needs to be touched
So
on.
they
Go ahead,
staged
Rania.
their home and edited it to get the best bang.
Perfect. Okay. Even when you talk about ads, now this is something that was drilled into us during real estate school. is the different ads, discriminatory ads for talking about housing and in the property description, what you can put or can't put. Some
I
of those
still catch
are,
myself with that,
yeah,
saying this
yeah,
will be perfect for a family to go walking the trails.
Mhm.
Can't say that.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So again, it's very easy to put in there because hey, this is what I envision. You could, like you said, you want families or people to be able to envision themselves in that
Mhm.
home and take advantage of all the amenities um, in that community. So yeah, I understand it's very easy to put in there.
Right.
Now, what would you all do, or how should a client um, that's not your client, but if you hear about a client reaches out to you and asks, "Hey, my realtor I have right now is only showing me homes in this area, but I keep
Mhm.
telling them I want to go here, I want to go there, but they keep pushing me to this area." What would you say to that person, that quote unquote customer? Because they're not your client; they're a client of another realtor
Mhm.
right now.
Um,
Again, this was not on the brief. This wasn't on the brief.
it's
It just
not
came
even
to
it's
me.
not on the brief. It's just
Yeah.
like
It came to
So
me as we're here.
you have to navigate that one
right.
Yeah,
very gingerly because of course we're all realtors, so we want
Mhm.
to still consider ourselves peers.
hmm
Um,
But I would
but
also
that
reconsider that
go
relationship too.
yeah,
absolutely yes, especially
Right.
if more than anything, I'm asking you specifically to take me to this particular place.
Mhm.
So you have a responsibility to do that, especially if
yeah,
I'm not asking you to take me to a particular place that to discriminate. I'm actually asking you to take me to a place that you
I
you
want.
actually signed up to have a responsibility to me, and you're not upholding your responsibility to me.
Mhm.
yeah.
So yeah.
I would
No,
definitely question that relationship and whether it needs to continue and do you need to move on to another real estate agent advisor that can help get you where you
Mhm.
want to be
Yeah.
yeah.
and
No, I
hears
have
you,
a
listens.
yeah. Listens. That's me. That's well, one as I was talking over you.
Yeah, you're
One of the
fine.
skills that we just lack as a society to truly listen to what
Mhm.
people are wanting and needing, and that's something I saw that we just need in general. I saw Vivian said they edited 62 pieces of art, and I know how meticulous you are. I know for sure it was 62 pieces because you counted them. You
She was
counted
very
them.
specific.
Me
So you know it was
Yeah,
62 pieces. She was
yeah,
very specific.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
No. Um, and Pap says the reason they ask about HUD, if there are proper regulations, no one should edit. No one should have to edit to get a fair appraisal, and that is correct. That
Mhm.
is 100% correct. Nobody should have to go through these measures. But with that said, there's speed limits,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna pretend like I don't go over it every day,
Hmm.
right? So while you have rules in place and you have regulators, the officers or whatnot, um, people are gonna people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm not gonna go there. It was gonna take a left. It was gonna take a left.
I'm glad you
Um,
brought yourself back.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
But another thing, if they're taking these grants and the funding away from HUD, like these situations where you bring up discrimination against the different things that might not affect you directly, but your family, your friends, like
Hmm.
there's no way to combat it.
yeah. Now I do have a question for those watching right now, and those that watch on the replay. Is please in the comment section let me know. Have you all ever experienced or know somebody that experienced housing discrimination, and what happened? What was the circumstances around that? That's something that again, a lot of times, and I'm guilty of it because I didn't raise my hand when I experienced the appraisal bias. A lot of times it just gets swept under the rug, and we just go on about our day to day life with as if it's okay, right? And again, I told you I'm not above reproach. I'm guilty of it because my family needed a place to live. And that not even needed a place. That was the place we wanted to get. So we could have found another place, but we were going to miss out on the place that we wanted. And so we skirted around it, brushed it underneath the rug, and moved forward. Even though, as is evident, it still leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Not even the loss of money, just the fact that here we are in 2022 at the time, and still dealing with it, right? So.
Yeah, I did have a client that said they didn't want to live around children.
Now, how do you feel about that when it's like a 55 and older community, though?
Well, I actually recommended them for that
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were in that age group, and I was saying
Mhm.
maybe your best bet would be a 55 plus community. Other than
But
that,
even in
I
that, you
can't
still have
direct who your neighbor's going to be.
correct. Yeah, I was gonna say, but because even in that, I think it's what 15% can be sold to 55 and under.
Depending on the
Yeah,
community, yeah.
Depending on the
yeah.
community. And I mean, so depending on the community, I'm thinking of the larger communities here in Charlotte for 55 and older, Charlotte area 55 and older, with the exception of Trilogy. I'm not familiar with Trilogy and their rules and guidelines.
Mhm,
But some of the larger ones, while you say you don't want to be around kids or that's the impetus of moving into that community, the kids can still be on the premises. Like
mhm,
that pool area, we
mhm,
can still have kids there during the day.
mhm.
Hmm.
Now, granted,
Yeah,
they may be relegated and have to get out the pool for like 15, 20 minutes every hour on the hour, but to be totally kid free, what you may have thought was going to be the case,
not gonna happen.
it's not the case.
Hmm.
No, even in Trilogy, they have the option to bring them in. They have to pay a fee for them to come to the pool,
Hmm.
and I think you can have them over 3 to 4 weeks out of the year, so there's still going to be children there.
Hmm.
I asked the question: has anybody experienced discrimination or fair house violation? And Pap says yes. I wanted a fair field. Forgive me. I'm trying to read, and I need to just make the text a little larger. Um, don't do that.
55
Don't do
and up,
that.
here you
Don't do
come.
that. I already know.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
um, yes, I wanted a Fairfield apartment and shown an availability in a white section of the property, but was given a black section when we decided to move. Flimsy excuses. Yeah, yeah. No, it happens more times than not. And until and I say we, raise light to it and really make it clear and evident that it's not just something out there that is actually prevalent and happens in our society, things won't change. And that's what this month is about, fair housing. It's about highlighting these instances and just bring it to light, the Fair Housing Act. And regardless of what's happening in the landscape of our country right now, uh, this still is the law that controls, regardless of changes that maybe want to be made or may not be popular or may be seen as woke or whatever it may be. This is the presiding law, and we want to make sure everybody has access to housing and that they're treated fairly and not being discriminated against. And oftentimes, and oftentimes, that's just not the case.
Right.
A little too often.
Mhm.
Uh, we're wrapping, going on that hour mark. Any final words you all want to share, or please again tell people how they can get in contact with you?
Go ahead, Shante.
Um, no, I would just say keep in mind the Fair Housing Act and when you're deciding on areas and things like that and how it affect you and your family. Um, my name again is Shantae Cloud. You can get in contact with me with the handle Realtor Shantae Cloud. Again, it's SHAUNTAY and cloud like in the sky. I'm here for you to help you. North Carolina, South Carolina. Go ahead, Renee.
I will put her information is again, or both of them. I'm putting again in the comment section, so you can make sure you get all of their information.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the big thing is for me, what impacts one of us impacts all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the sooner we recognize that, I think the better off we'll be. Um, so how you reach me, again, my handles are sold by Ronielle, RONIELLENC. And you can reach me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. And yeah, if you're relocating here, I'm your relocation specialist.
Perfect. Now we have a question, final question. Do your team cover the greater Raleigh area? Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. I'm about to put them on the spot. Are y'all going to be in Raleigh with me on the 14th?
I know
14th of April?
Yep.
I have to check my calendar, but I do believe that I should be able to achieve that.
Okay.
I love the wording.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't commit to anything. It's almost like that.
It's almost like that
person. You know what it is? You know what answer was? That was somebody taking a rental application, knowing that they weren't going to pay attention to that person. Right?
No, don't do that, because I really do need to check my calendar.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Shantae, 14th.
Yes.
Raleigh.
Yes. Yes.
You coming?
Yes.
Perfect. If to all the real estate professionals that are watching or tuning in, if you're thinking about or looking or considering a real estate family, a brokerage, give Lifestyle a shot. Let us talk to you and see if it's a good fit. We're multicultural. We're very welcoming, but we believe in just supporting each other, uplifting each other, and holding each other accountable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is it's called Ari Bar Camp, April 14th, and it's in Raleigh. And if you're in that area, feel free to try to join. I'm not sure if it's sold out or not. Try to join, and I'll be one of the speakers. I'm happy and excited about that. It'll be the second year. They've invited Sean, myself, Tijuana to come on and just share about different topics that's impacting just us realtors, right? I don't have to tell you two, and other realtors that have been watching. 2024 was a tough year for our industry, for a myriad of issues, a myriad of things, between interest rates, between the lack of housing in general. Right? You can't sell homes if there are no homes available, right? But we believe that time has made us stronger. And if you can suffer through that,
Right.
I don't have to tell either one of you two. You two are running this year. Running. Actually, Shantae, you were running even at the end of last year, but running. So if you can go through that, we're here to, again, equip you with the tools. Yes, we'll give you leads and stuff like that. Don't hold me to that. But give you the tools to be successful in this business. And I say don't hold me to that because like any work, any job, it's based off of performance. It's not just we just don't give things away for free, right? You got to show that you're putting in the effort and the grit, and then that hard work will be paid off, will be rewarded. So I appreciate the real estate agents that are watching this. If you have any questions, reach out to myself. My contact information is in the description, and your contact information will be in the description as well. But let us know. Let us know. And thank
Yeah.
you all for tuning in and rocking with us. I know this is a little bit different. We didn't talk about Charlotte proper or the housing market in Charlotte, but what we talked about impacts the Charlotte housing market greatly. If you've been in
Absolutely.
the Charlotte area for, again, more than 10 years, 7 years, you've seen the drastic changes in the
Mhm.
demographic shifts and how now people that were living just outside of uptown, only place they're being pushed out to is Gaston County. And I'm not even talking about Gastonia. I'm talking about like even further out sometimes, or up north to Salisbury. And that's not cool. That's not cool at all. But no, I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all rocking with us. You two stay on. And we'll talk to y'all later.